Hello, my name is Franz Fabio Giovanici. I am CEO and co-lead designer of Fantabulous Fashions. We are a one-of-a-kind design studio who specializes in bringing high fashion to you, the common person. Fantabulous Fashions has developed a new project this year, a web project management system that will allow us to bring more of our fashions to you. You must immediately go to our website at fantabulous.sites.net. Until then, bonsoir, and be fantabulous.
Hi everyone, I'm Christian. I'm part of the team who developed the web project management software for Fantabulous Fashions. I'm here to walk you through some of the details of our design and implementation. On the surface, what Fantabulous Fashions wants to achieve is fairly straightforward. They want customers to be able to come onto their website, design a dress by uploading images, making drawings, or just describing it in text. This design will then be submitted to their team of designers, who will have a chance to upload their own sketches and their vision for how the dress should be produced. Then the customer will be able to be notified of this, come onto the website, choose a design they like best, and then this will serve to launch off their own internal project management processes, which will cause the dress to be purchased, produced, and delivered to the end customer. You might have noticed that for a project labeled project management software, the details were pretty light so far on project management. And that's because one of the unique requirements of Fantabulous Fashions was that this software also serve as customer relationship software, whereby they could receive designs from customers, go through a approval process, and help facilitate communications with their end customers. In turn, this serves as inputs to their project management internal software, which can be used in turn to produce outputs such as invoices or collect customer feedback to their customers. Looks pretty happy so far. Of course, the difficulty lies in the details. The project management software must match up with the internal business workflow of Fantabulous Fashions, and you can see there's a few more steps. They want this software to help facilitate internal communication so the designers know when they should start designing based and have received customer specifications, and when the customer has chosen a design, when they should proceed and how they should proceed. This should help fuel things automatically generate project status updates, help them know what products need to be purchased, and remind them of arrival dates so that scheduling and other project management tasks can be performed on time. Each employee should have the simplified task list so they'll know exactly what they are expected to do at all times for any given project. Lastly, as an artistic organization, Fantabulous Fashions wanted to make sure that any new software developed could be branded and styled to match the themes on their website. They're very conscientious about how things look. Let's take a look at about how some of this was achieved. When you visit the Fantabulous Fashions website, you'll notice that there are several prominent places where you're prompted to start a new design. When a customer goes and selects that they'd like to create a new design, they can give it a name, describe it in some words, upload images, and even create drawings and sketches of the dress they'd like to have designed. Fantabulous Fashions already heavily relied on Google Apps for mail and calendaring, so we decided to integrate their task management system with that. So new tasks would appear in their list to be accomplished here, and when they were checked off on their Google Tasks, it would go back to the website and also notify it that the task had been accomplished. Once the designs have been submitted, the workflow would move over to the next step, where the customer would be notified to return to the site, look at the designs that had been submitted and the designers who had submitted them, get a chance to review their descriptions and the art they'd submitted, and vote on the ones that they liked best. There's also a dashboard on the Fantabulous Fashions website where employees can go to see the overall project status, as well as all the updates and the tasks that were completed during the various stages in the workflow. In addition to the tasks that are automatically generated and the workflow steps that are stepped through automatically, lead designers or business office personnel can go and create new tasks as needed and make notes about things that happened along the way. Let's take a look at how this software process played out on a real project. The first project to use this software was a request for a Cinderella dress that was received by Fantabulous Fashion. The customer came to the website and submitted an image and a description that she wanted a dress inspired by the dress from the Cinderella Disney movie, but at the same time did not want to look like a cartoon character or a Disneyland employee. Once this request was received, notifications were sent and a new task was created. I logged in as a designer, and I can see the request here, and I'm now given a contextual menu to go and submit my own design for this project. Here I can give it a title, ensure that it's linked to the proper project, describe what I'd like to, and upload my own image. The customer then received an email that sent them back to the site whereby they made their selection. You can see out of the 3 designers who chose to respond to this request, the customer ended up liking Giovanni's the best. All this time, project updates are being generated automatically as the workflows advance due to the customer submission, the designer submissions, or the customer making a final selection. You can see some notes were made here by our business office person, and she added a custom task asking one of our lead designers, Kelly, to contact the customer and talk about the design goals of this project. Also, an initial billable for the deposit shows up. Further down the line, once the customer made their final selection and materials are to be purchased, you can see that there was an additional difficulty. The tailors had raised a concern with the design. They did not feel that the stitching shown will hide and blend in properly, and they wanted to change the pattern requested by the designers. This required the office manager to schedule a new task to arrange a meeting between them to sort this issue out. Other tasks were auto-generated, and the billables were populated from the inventory system as parts were selected. Once the inventory requested arrives, the workflow is again advanced and moves into the tailoring phase. Here, the business office person was also prompted to include any status updates, and she decided to make a comment about the resolution between the previous conflict about stitching between the designers and the tailors, and how that issue was solved. Down below, you'll see additional hours taken into account for the tailoring, plus a refund for the concern and the time that it took in resolving that issue. Some days later, after customer feedback has been received, the project is marked completed. Here in the final update, you can see some additional tasks were assigned to close up the project. They discovered some issues with the software that they would like to have corrected. They noticed that one of the supply contracts had been close to expiring during the project. This was only noticed because the vendor mentioned it. They decided they would like for the software to notify them and keep track of vendor contracts in the future so that these don't expire in the middle of a critical project. They also noticed that some of the email notifications to the customer were not clear and that the customer had called often requesting additional information. They decided to make an additional fix based on this. You can see here that the office manager, Hillary, also decided to assign a task to her boss, the eccentric designer Franz Fabio, to give her congratulations, and her receptionist, Jennifer, for a job well done.
So in conclusion, everyone, I guess lessons learned from me are if you're going to do voiceovers for a presentation, and if you don't want to do them 800 times, you should probably write out a script first. But for project management lessons learned, I'd say in this case, one thing I thought about in this project was that since we were pretending to be both customer and developer of the software, it was a little easier, I guess, to really have a good understanding of what we wanted to do, because we kind of saw it from both angles. In the real world, I'd imagine that the iterative time it would take to kind of help define all these requirements with the customer, or to figure out what all we needed if we were the customer, would probably bump up the 2-month development time that I estimated for this project and make our Drupal solution a little more difficult. With a prepackaged solution, you're kind of forced into doing things certain ways, but in many times that's beneficial because you don't really know what you want to do. And so using someone else's software helps you provide structure to your own project management. I also want to apologize here that I could not get my partner's Kai contribution, her video, to incorporate. The mixing software I was using to splice video pieces back and forth just really didn't like the Windows media file she had, and so I'm going to tell you that she mentioned that lessons learned for her were just that dealing with a web project management system can be very large and a much more involved and complicated process than it might seem on the surface when you start digging into the details. I guess that's true for me for a lot of projects you dig into. They look great and then you get into the details and it suddenly becomes much hairier. Thank you, everyone, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, presley.d@umd.edu, and take care. Haha.